Hello everybody, welcome back. We are going to be looking at development update number 5 for Railborn. This includes why are there Trestles everywhere, the humble beginnings behind Railborn, is Railborn actually going under non-disclosure agreements for any of its playtesting, how early will multiplayer launch, is early access bonus DLC incoming, and is there a game demo imminent? First, of course, Railborn is a survival game created by two developers, Taki and Smash from Washbear Studios, where you build your train piece by piece and navigate a world entangled by branching tracks. Railborn is now the top 56 wishlisted game on Steam with over 30,000 new followers since the game was announced. Whether you've been following this game since the announcement or just now discovering this game, let's dive right in and see what's new. Looking at Trestles, folks, Railborn is a world filled with tangled tracks, and it goes pretty much everywhere, going through mountain, over mountain, underneath mountains, and whatnot. And one of the inspirations Railborn picked up for this was the mountain railways they experienced in Western Canada, Europe, and Southeast Asia. The Washbear team was able to go out and visit an old rail line in Myra Bellevue Park in British Columbia that had been turned into a bike path crossing over huge trestles of the mountain. This is where they took note of the experience and brought this right into the game. So hopefully as we play Railborn, we will see themes coming from British Columbia, Canada, Asia, and other locations where trestles and bridges were a key feature of railways. Railborn's humble beginnings started out with Washbear Studio's idea of starting with a tiny set of wheels, creatively constructing your massive train from that point. This experience translates because you are literally starting with a set of wheels and a plank just sitting on that. And in order to get those wheels to move, you need to finally get yourself a hand pump, and you will be starting this game off with nothing else but wheels, a plank, and eventually a hand pump once you craft this. And you will eventually learn the agony of how to drive a train just pumping. Now, of course, Railborn intends to get you away from the early centuries of rail and moving right into the future where you will be able to build your gas-guzzling, massive trains. Will Railborn be under an NDA agreement or a non-disclosure treatment according to Taki? Yes, once they get past friends and family, they will be under an NDA agreement, so no official streaming for however long that takes. Now, this means that friends and family have access to the game. They are probably playing it. If you can figure out who their friends and family is, please don't contact them because they will not tell you anything about the game until it is ready to go. Now, the big reason for this, according to Taki, is first impressions are everything, and they need to want everyone to be happy with what's being seen, and that is not necessarily an alpha phase product. They want the game to, feel reasonably complete, even if it's still in early access. Whoever it is that has access to the non-disclosure agreement and the original game will be stuck with the hot mess of whatever state that game is, errors and bugs and glitches and all. How early will multiplayer actually release in this game? As Taki would say, he's done a lot of multiplayer, and his intention is to release the game with multiplayer for early access, which means there is a chance the demo of the game will not include multiplayer. There is a chance that alpha, beta will not include multiplayer right off the bat. However, once they get past those initial phases and release early access, we can bet on multiplayer being on there, provided they can get it to work properly and function well. One of the ways they're looking at this is doing invites on their friend list is one of the ways to connecting to multiplayer, and they have to aim for the simplest version of multiplayer because the fact that they're attempting it isn't so much the fact that it's insane, it's the challenge of trying to sync up both players in a single game where both players have access to the same world. For them, multiplayer is like building two games at once, and therefore they're going to eventually bring in some extra help for support of this, and then eventually community support plus Q&A. But again, folks, the intention is to release multiplayer with early access. Speaking of early access, is there an early access bonus downloadable content? Taki frankly had asked, has anyone here received an early access bonus that was in the game? He was also looking at the idea of how Steam sets up an early access bonus, and it's not quite trivial to have something different for those in early access versus 1.0, and it kind of involves creating two separate branches, a main game branch and an experimental branch. They want to have a way to give a bonus in early access, at least that's the way he's looking and phrasing it. and then potentially rolling it over so everyone can eventually have access to it. It's almost like a time release system. However, whether this will actually come into being, we will see. The idea, can we have this as a free DLC, get that pull that back in as a paid DLC at a later point? Taki did say free DLC that becomes paid DLC technically in his brain makes sense. How one does that, he's not exactly sure. So we will see if one day we have an early access bonus because of our loyal fan base that jumps onto the game as soon as the game releases. So folks, is the demo incoming and imminent? That is the question here. We've only got a couple months remaining in 2025, and then we might be able to see a version of the game that we can play. And the key thing is, remember, the game is still a rough version. One of the things, according to SteamDB, there is a new update that was recently added in October. A trailer 0, 1, and 2 were added, and this happened to be a change, so to speak. There was actually 2 trailers, the Steam trailer and the overview trailer, and now there potentially could be a third trailer incoming in time, hopefully for a demo launch. We will see. And one of the things Taki mentioned is they've been focusing on the start of the game, specifically the first 60 to 90 minutes of the game. The goal is to use that very part of the gameplay for early testing and or a demo. This version will be sent only to a few people. Based on their feedback, they will get closer to the very first closed mini alpha. And in the next update that Taki planned to give us, he planned to give us more details on those opportunities to try out the game. Who these few selected people will be, they could very well be having access to the game right this very minute, and or could be part of the next update of the rollout. Taki, of course, said we are pretty happy with the beginning area, the demo, which has been the focus of the last few weeks. We realized at the time they were working on the menus and whatnot that they should probably let people change their resolution to something besides 1440p when playtesting. One of the reasons I bring up the menu is Taki did say the menu would be one of the last things they work on before they roll out a push. If it is going to come out, they're still going to announce that info in the newsletter, the Discord. Folks, stay tuned and we may be seeing something go live in the next couple months. Taki did say this is going with West Coast / West Coast Canada time / West Coast Mexican time for the extra 3 hours of a release of any kind. In the meantime, the main official update is early access is in sometime 2026. Demo / playtest coming sometime in 2025. Any day now is what we're waiting for. Any day, folks. As an extra bonus for you all, how many hours did Taki have on Parkasaurus? He has 5,299 and 0.4 hours and all 57 achievements, and he did say, I will deservedly take marketing for achievements had they not all been achieved. Yes, Taki has achieved every achievement 20 times, so we can expect very much the same thing for Railborn. We will see how many hours he has once the game finally rolls out. Maybe he'd be willing to share how much time he has spent on the game just trying to get the game to work. Alright folks, if you like this one, definitely like, subscribe, leave me comments. I'm very interested in see what you guys' thoughts are about the demo and the potential for being able to play Railborn before the end of the year is up. Let me know right down there in the comments. In the meantime, go ahead and watch this next video on Railborn coming at you right now.